And just like that, preseason game number 1 is in the books. Welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. Amy Campbell joined now by Ike Reese. And Ike, a lot to talk about, and then also not a lot to talk about in the preseason, but we're going to make it interesting. That is what we always do here in the preseason. We got to see a lot of guys who we didn't know a whole lot about. What did you learn so far about some of the unknowns that the Eagles have on this roster?
Well, that's the great thing about the preseason, Amy, is that you get to familiarize yourself with the players that are trying to make this roster. And watching these young guys go out here and try to realize their dream, for me, first and foremost, being a 5th-round draft pick, it always excites me to see these guys get the opportunity to try to realize their dream. And in the first game, sometimes it can be a little difficult to, I guess, gauge how far some of these young players have come. Eagles only put up 10 points tonight on the offensive side of the ball. The great thing about this game is that the coaches have a lot of film to work with to teach. And you got 3 more preseason games to get in. Love the fact that the guys were flying around out there on the field. Some young guys that you want to see start to make plays. Can't wait to see them get out there next week.
Right, I buried the lead a little bit. This was a 27-10 loss by the Eagles, not necessarily something to read into considering the preseason. And I remember the quote from head coach Doug Peterson last year saying, I'm kind of superstitious. I don't really want to be 4-0 in the preseason.
Right.
So this isn't about winning the game. This is about evaluating your players. So take us inside. You said as a 5th-round draft pick, what is going through these guys' heads as they take the field, their first preseason game in the NFL?
You got so many things going through your head, especially with that game being at home. Tickets. Family may want to come see the game. You're trying to make sure you don't make any mistakes out there on the field, and getting your first opportunity to line up against another National Football League opponent like the Tennessee Titans. It can be a little overwhelming for a rookie. So I can remember back to my first preseason game, and you want to kind of just get the first sort of contact out of the way so it can just go back to feeling normal. You do so much time sitting around during the day, and you build up so many different scenarios that you're going to sort of go through during the game. You almost play the game in your mind several times before the game even starts. And then once you get a chance to kick that ball off, get under the lights, it may take you a series or 2, but eventually the game is what it's always been throughout your life. And the sooner you realize that, the better chance you're going to get to show exactly what you can do. And that's what I had to realize as a young player. Eventually you got to get over being in awe of being in the National Football League, because you won't be here for long.
Right, well, and it's not for long. That's what they say it stands for, especially just how much the game speeds up. And we've talked about it kind of throughout the preseason, the limited opportunities, especially on defense for guys, because not a lot of live tackling going on during the preseason. So this gives them an opportunity to hit somebody in a jersey, not the Eagles jersey. And Tennessee left a lot of their starters in, especially on offense, for a lot longer than I think maybe I expected, longer than the Eagles did. So a lot of the defenders got a good chance to really go up against some of the first teamers on Tennessee. A few guys stood out to me, especially Deshawn Hall, LJ Fort. Who did you see that you thought was really flying around out there?
Well, you mentioned 2 of the guys who definitely had their name. Deshawn Hall, here's a guy that if he keeps playing the way that he's playing, he was a late pickup for the Eagles. He has a real opportunity to make this football team. And Amy, you bring up a great point. Tennessee keeping their starters in for an extended period of time allowed these young players to get a real gauge of what it's like to be in a real NFL game. Sometimes you can't get that true sense when you're going up against the backups. It makes it a little difficult for coaches to gauge how much they should put into the success you're having out there on the field. But when you're going up against a Marcus Mariota and a Dion Lewis and guys like that out there on the field and you're making plays, well, the coach feels a lot better about the positives that you put on tape. So you brought up a guy like LJ Fort. Obviously, he's a linebacker. You want to see him make this team. And that's a position where there's an opportunity. There's opportunity there.
Injury is Jordan Hicks no longer at the team. Nigel Bradham been injured throughout the preseason. Nate Gary's had a really strong preseason, but LJ Fort in the pregame show was my guy that I was most interested in seeing on defense, especially given his story, the way he's worked himself. He's played on. This is his 7th NFL team. He worked himself up the special teams ranks in Pittsburgh, and of course, in his first start in Cleveland in 2012, intercepted Michael Vick, his lone interception that year. So a little bit of a fun tie in there. It was cool to see him kind of of running around out there making plays. Deshawn Hall, the other guy I mentioned who stood out to me, a guy who I've loved since he was at Texas A&M. A lot of people don't remember he played opposite Myles Garrett on that defensive line. The two of them were those bookends there for the Aggies. And Deshawn Hall, he was a third-round pick who hasn't quite clicked since he's been in the NFL. I've been really thinking if he's in Jim Schwartz's system where they are rushing and rushing and rushing the passer, that maybe he could kind of have that click. We started to see a little bit of that for him tonight.
And again, we talk about a position of need and an opportunity there.
Yes.
That is a position that can use an influx and talent. And I tell you, Hall, who has the pedigree, who has the ability in there, sometimes it's about getting in that right system and having that coach be able to pull out that talent that's in you. And in this defense, where you get a chance to rush up the field in sort of a wide nine defense, this is the type of defense Deshawn Hall can flourish in.
Yeah, and this is a great first preseason game for him. I think this leads the team. 6 tackles, all solo, 1 sack.
I would say
he
yes.
probably did the most out of everybody that we saw there tonight flying around on defense.
And had a few other plays where he was around the quarterback, where he forced the ball out early. Those are the things coaches noticed. Of course, the sack, forced fumble, that's going to be easy to see. But the other times when you affect the quarterback in the pocket, coaches love that as well.
Yeah, especially like you said, when you're near the football, you're in the right place, you got your body in the right position. That always makes a difference. Let's look on the offensive side. Another thing that we were looking at going into this game was how is the offensive line going to look, especially with a lot of the starters not playing tonight. A lot of opportunity for some young guys. That's a tough one when you're getting started in the NFL. That is a really technical position. How would you evaluate how some of those young guys did on the offensive line?
I thought they played well for it to be the first game. The first game, I think coaches, they anticipate sloppy play at times, right? It's your first game out there. These guys don't necessarily get to practice together because it's a mismatch of, some guys that run with the first team and guys that are running with the second and third team that are playing in this first preseason game. And there wasn't a lot of penalties, wasn't a lot of false starts and things of that nature. Gave up the 1 sack on Nate in that first half. But when you talk about the 2 tackles, the 2 young guys, first-round draft pick and Andre Dillard, and then the project and Jordan Mailata, who's over at right tackle, both of those guys I thought played well in that first half. These are 2 young guys on different scopes of the spectrum. Andre Dillard pegged to be the guy who's going to go in there and fill in for Jason Peters when he retires, and Jordan Mailata, a guy who hadn't played football, still yet to play in his first National League football game in the regular season. So raw in talent, former rugby player. He's come so far from when he first got here. That's why you're able to see the plays down the field to Dallas Goedert, to Markin, Michelle, things like that, because the tackles, the rest of that offensive line, they gave Nate time back there to throw the football.
Yeah, here we're looking at some of Nate's best plays from tonight. Of course,
clean pockets.
He left with an injury, which we are still waiting to hear more about, but that's the play of the game right there to me, that 75-yard pass to Mark and Michelle for the touchdown. What did you see from Nate tonight? It seemed like, we'd heard throughout the preseason he had been taking a step forward. He was feeling more and more confident being the key word there. He said he felt like he really understood his role. He understood the playbook. It was a matter of the confidence and just getting more comfortable, having that be even more second nature to him. What did you see from him tonight?
I like what I saw from Nate tonight. He looked like he had command of the offense, didn't try to force the ball and didn't have turnovers there. You certainly love to see that out of your quarterback. And when there were plays to be made down the field, he made plays. Sure, he wanted that ball back. The ball he threw to J.J. Ortega Whiteside early, a little bit long, but that's the same play he hit Michelle for the touchdown.
Yep.
So you see the second time they came back to it, he adjusted, hit him in stride, and you see a 75-yard touchdown. The biggest thing is you want to see Nate operate the offense with efficiency, right? Get the ball out where it's supposed to go on time. That's the great thing about the design of this offense, is that you don't have to force plays. Dallas Goedert, and there's so many.
He loves Dallas Goedert.
Yes, it's hard not to love that guy.
Well, the first couple of throws were targeting Dallas Goedert, and I was like, okay, yes, we get it. We know you like Dallas Goedert. You got a lot of options. Let's see what else he can do. And he really did open it up as he went on. got a little bit more comfortable.
Well, and that's the thing with a guy like Dallas Goedert. You know, our tight ends are so good, it's easy for these quarterbacks to fall in love with them, right? Big target, 3 receptions, 50 yards.
3 receptions for 50 yards.
Yeah.
It's pretty good right there.
And I love the fact he doesn't like going down.
Right.
He doesn't go down with contact.
Nope.
He likes to break through tackles. So you expect a big year out of him. But when you have a playmaker like that, you want to get the ball in his hands to see what he can do. But like you said, I think a couple of series down the road, he's able to start spreading that ball around, and you find a guy like Markin Michelle wide open. See, those plays to Goddard, now you get those safeties, they're going to creep up because now they're conscious of Dallas Goedert catching the ball.
And they should be.
And that's what happened on that big play to Michelle, is that the safety jumps up, and now you got one-on-one coverage on the outside with no safety help. And I thought Nate did a great job of putting the ball in the middle of the field and letting Markin run it down.
Well, and keep in mind, this is without Zach Ertz on the field. This is without Deshaun Jackson on the field. This is without Alshon Jeffrey on the field. This is without a lot of the offensive guys who are going to be the key contributors here. So you have to be excited with this is just a taste of the options that Doug Peterson, Mike Groh, that this Eagles offense is going to have when they really open this thing up and everybody's on the field.
Yeah, and you got to be excited about that because, I mean, this is the team that can beat you in multiple ways. And we haven't even gotten into what the running game is going to be able to add to the offense.
We can talk about the running game too, yeah.
Right? So it's great when you're not a one-dimensional team. It's great when you can hit a team with your run game. And with the Eagles having their backfield, once they get to the regular season, you're going to see speed and power from the running game. And then when you look at the weapons on the outside, I mean, you got big guys, you got speed guys, you got tight ends, you got Nelson Aguilar.
Oh,
well,
right.
I tell you, it's just so much.
So much. It's just so many mouths to feed, which is the best problem to have, and so many unselfish guys. Let's talk about the running game a little bit. Miles Sanders was a guy who many people were very excited to see tonight. Got to see him a little bit in the first half. I would say he did not disappoint. What were your takeaways from seeing him in action?
Well, a couple carries in there. Listen, here's the funny thing, right? I'm happy he walked off the field tonight.
Yes. I think we were all holding our breath a little bit, to be honest, which we wanted to see him, but you just want to bubble wrap these guys a little bit, especially in the preseason.
And that's the thing, right? We want to sort of take the new toy out and play with it and see what it can do, but at the same time, we want to make sure we don't do anything to break it. So I was happy with what I saw out of Miles, not just from the couple times he had a chance to run the football, but I noticed even on the first play, Doug and Mike Groh, they did some things with the formation where they had Miles Sanders on the outside lined up like he was a wide receiver and motioning him back into the backfield. So I like seeing that type of stuff. That's the stuff he didn't do at Penn State. So those are the things in this offense to be an effective running back. You're going to have the ability to be able to do it. And I was happy to see that they put him out there early and gave him some different formations, had him pass protect back there, able to watch him do some of that. Didn't get a chance to catch any passes out of the backfield, I don't believe. And we know that's something you're going to have to be able to do in this offense.
Something we're looking to see from Miles. Yeah. Let's get another perspective. Our Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro, is standing by from the field. Dave, you were there this whole game talking to people on the sidelines. You got to talk to lots of different players, get all the insight. What was the atmosphere like tonight at Lincoln Financial Field for this first preseason game of the 2019 season?
Hi, Amy, and hi, Ike. Great atmosphere here. Really good crowd, very energetic crowd. A lot of optimism, of course. Dud of a game. Eagles didn't play well offensively. Some really good signs early with Nate Sudfeld and Dallas Goedert connecting a few times. J.J. Ortega Whiteside, a couple of receptions. I think the Eagles are encouraged, and this is a big theme here in this preseason. I talked about it before the game. The edges, and Andre Dillard on the left side and Jordan Mailata at right tackle, they held their own for a rookie and a second-year player, a kid who had never played before last season. So there were some positives here, and then you're obviously looking to evaluate individuals. What casts the kind of the what's next kind of move here is obviously Nate Sudfeld's injury. Doug Peterson will address that in just a few moments. I don't know what kind of update he will provide, but Nate left the field on a cart with an air cast on the left hand and wrist. Didn't look good, but hopefully there'll be some positive news here. And it is the left hand, and it is a backup quarterback. But when you then take into account how Cody Kessler played and how Clayton Thorson played, you wonder if this is a serious injury, what happens next for the Eagles at that position.
Well, I tell you that you mentioned the young tackles, right? Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata playing out there. And we know these guys at this point aren't the starters, but in this league, you don't know when you're going to be called upon to be that guy. Talk to me a little bit about Jordan Mailata over there at the right tackle position. Not a lot of football in his background, now having to learn another position. Not only tonight, but how has his camp been going?
I mean, I think his camp has honestly been very uneven. I mean, he hasn't really taken that step forward, an obvious step forward that you hoped he would take. But tonight, I thought he played a little bit better. And the Titans came on the blitz on that side and got to Nate Sudfeld. I don't know if that was Jordan, if that was a back not picking up the blitz, or there was a slide inside by Vaitai. So we'll have to hear from the coaching staff after they review the film on that. But I think for the most part, pleased that Mailata played a lot of snaps, was physical out there, showed the athleticism. And when I watched him in one-on-one blocking situations against a Tennessee defense that had a lot of its regulars going for the first couple of drives, Mailata played pretty darn well.
Dave, we talked a lot about the trenches. Let's go to the defensive backfield. There's a lot of competition going on amongst the cornerbacks. What did you see tonight from some guys who had some opportunity to make a good impression on this coaching staff?
Well, Amy, I would tell you that Josh Hawkins, who's been in the league for a few seasons here, really struggled tonight, lost coverage a couple of times, gave up some big plays. So that will cost Hawkins. Didn't see a whole lot of Sidney Jones. We know Rasul Douglas, who's played 50% of the snaps the last couple of years, so he's a known commodity. Sidney came in here really confident based on his play in training camp. I don't think he really took any sort of step back, but not necessarily a definitive step forward. Nothing really concrete other than Josh Hawkins taking a tough step back tonight.
What'd you see from Sweat out there tonight?
Yeah, the thing about Sweat, Ike, is that he's got everything. He's got the look, he's got the physical attributes, he's a great athlete. I thought he was around the ball, which you want to see. Didn't necessarily close like you want to see.
Right.
Deshawn Hall did that, but I thought that Josh Sweat showed them that he has the physical ability, the strength to shed blockers and to make penetration. He's just got to finish, and that's a very difficult final step for young defensive ends. But Eagles a little bit thin tonight. Hall stepped up, played well. Sharif Miller, so-so, had one play back there, but for the most part, I think just a so-so performance from him. And then I would probably say the same thing with Josh Sweat. With Sweat's bullet, just kind of his stock going up just a little bit more than Sharif Miller. But that's only based on what I saw on the sideline. That's before you really look at the film.
Sure.
Right, I'm sure much more to come as we evaluate this first game. We learned some things, a lot more to learn. Dave, thanks so much. We'll be waiting to hear more about Nate Sudfeld's status as we wait for Coach Doug Peterson to address the media as well. Dave, thanks so much. Ike, one of the fun things about our show tonight is that if fans are watching on Facebook, you can send us questions and we are going to answer them in real time if they're good enough, if they make the cut, especially if you can make us laugh. That's always a fun thing, especially on a preseason night like tonight where we would love to just spice it up a little bit. But let's go back to the game a little bit. What are your takeaways, your 3 takeaways from preseason game number 1?
Yeah, well, we talked about Mark and Michelle's big play. Anytime you have an offense out there, you want to have some explosive plays. They were able to get the 75-yard touchdown to him with his only catch. And then you watch Nate Sudfeld. A lot of eyes on Nate coming into this game. Carson Wentz not playing. Nate's going to get a lot of playing time. At least that was the plan in the preseason. I thought he looked pretty good there in the first half. Came out a little rusty early, but I thought he settled down and he started running the offense with efficiency, which is what Doug Peterson and Mike Groh want from their quarterback. So I was happy with what I saw from Nate Sudfeld tonight. And then, Andre Dillard, first-round draft pick. He's out there at left tackle. We didn't run the ball effectively as an offensive line and as an offense at all tonight. 17 rushes, 37 yards. I won't necessarily chalk that up to him, but in his pass protection over there, I did get a chance to see him blocking over there, and I was real impressed with him. You can tell he's a natural athlete, moves his feet very well, was able to use his hands to keep the defenders at bay, and was able to stay between himself and the quarterback, which is what you want, a great building block. The best thing about tonight's game, obviously Nate being injured, we'll know the extent of that as we move forward, but with Michelle and a guy like Andre Dillard, you have something to build off of.
Yep.
So you take what you did tonight, and then you go to next week's game, and then the coaches, you have a baseline, right? You have a baseline where you can start at, and then you build from there. So I was happy with both of those guys.
Let's talk about Michelle a little bit more. The older brother of Sony Michel, Patriots running back, fun fact, spent a few years in the CFL, now has an opportunity to make this team in a wide receiver room with a lot of talent. It's very crowded, but there is a strong competition going on there to make this roster. 12 wide receivers on this team right now. 12 are not going to make the 53. But what kind of case do you think Markin made for himself tonight with really the one big play on offense that we actually got to see tonight, the one exciting deep ball moment?
Yeah, I think he made the best case he can make for himself. You take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself, and in an offense like this where there isn't going to be a feature guy where you're going to get a ton of targets, they're going to spread the ball around. You don't know when those opportunities are going to come. So I love the fact that he was able to take advantage of that and get in the end zone, catch the ball, which isn't necessarily always easy to do.
All right, well, here's head coach right now. Let's see what he has to say about Nate Sudfeld and the game.
It's not season ending, so we're excited about that. And after surgery, we'll have more update for you probably Saturday when we get back together.
How long of an injury is this?
It's not season ending, so we're excited about that. I'll probably have a better update Saturday once he gets out of surgery tomorrow.
We looked at another quarterback at this point?
Right now, we're just going to continue with who we got. We're comfortable with Cody and obviously get Clayton more work. And, again, this is not with Nate. It's not season ending. So again, we're excited about that.
If you were to bring a quarterback in, how long would it take to get him up to speed for the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's, if that were the case, I mean, just day by day, just getting him in the playbook and getting him caught up. But, we're not at that point yet.
How does this impact your plan for Carson this season?
Well, I mean, we still have a plan with not just him, but all our guys, all our starters, and obviously, we don't play the Redskins for a few more weeks, so the goal is to get ready for that, obviously. But I have to evaluate these guys in the next couple of weeks and see if they need to play in some of these games and make decisions that way. But it's kind of you got to be smart with it. You got to give them enough work. They're getting great work in practice, which has been very, very pleasing to me, and we're going to continue down that path.
Would this change your mind if you had thought about playing Carson some in these games? Would it kind of make you think?
Every case is different. I mean, if getting back to Nate, I mean, because this is not season ending, it doesn't change. It doesn't change anything. We just stay on task.
Doug, before the injury, how do you think Nate was handling it? How do you think he performed?
I thought he was playing well. I mean, he was seeing the field good. Great touchdown throw. Had a couple opportunities. Missed a little bit. Wide on a couple throws early, but I thought he really showed great poise going in against their number one defense. Out there and was doing some really good things. Kind of getting into a rhythm too. Right there before the half and. Felt like we had an opportunity to get some points there at the end of the half.
You mentioned getting Clayton more work.
First time out. I mean, I've been there as a young quarterback. I mean, obviously nervous and excited and wanting to do well and that all stems from you look at some of the balls he threw a little bit high and a little erratic. That's just nerves and just calming down and playing in these games. But he'll get better. He'll get more reps now and this will be a great experience for him to watch this tape and learn from.
What were some of the things you saw from some of the younger guys that you may have learned?
Offensively, I think Andre Dillard and Jordan Marlana both did some good things. Looking out there. I mean, Mark and Michelle had the big touchdown reception. Dallas in his second year. I mean, he did some good things early. Defensively, I thought. Hall came in there once he kind of settled in, made some plays on the D line, and there was just enough enough guys that one of the biggest things I think for me too is just getting tomorrow, just taking a look at this film and evaluating everybody. Wanted to get everybody in the game. I believe we did that. But those are just a couple of guys.
Not just tonight, but overall in the summer, how have you liked Cody Kessler? Could you see a situation where he could go into the season as the backup?
Yeah, Cody's he's a veteran guy. He's started games in the National Football League. He's shown us that he's been able to handle the playbook and sort of incrementally getting better every day. He gets out there and takes reps. Looking forward. I mean, we're not there yet, but he's been in that role before, so he's accustomed to being a backup if that's the case. But right now we're focused on these next few days and getting ready for Saturday.
You sat most of the starters, but played Jordan Howard. Why was that?
Wanted to see him, live. Wanted to get him out there and he and Miles Sanders kind of split the time there in the first quarter and see both of those guys together. That was our plan going in.
Why did Miles play so good?
Again, just wanted the plan was to let those two guys play the first quarter and then get the other guys in the game. Other than that was really it.
Is it more important at that particular position to see guys live, running back, see them?
Yeah, it's great to see him live, not only running the football but pass protection, catching the ball. We got a lot of running backs right now, and so it gives everybody an opportunity, especially early in this first preseason game for sure, to get everybody opportunities and touches to show us where they are and what they can do.
Why not add a quarterback? You said you're going to stick with the two guys.
I can come out of retirement.
What's that?
I can come out of retirement.
You could, but you're also the head coach.
You'd be all over me for that too.
But why not add someone when you have Carson and then two other guys?
The two other guys have names.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
Cody and Clayton,
yes.
and listen, we're not there yet. We're Nate's going to be fine. He's going to be back. We're optimistic about that, and then at the same time, this gives Cody and Clayton opportunities to continue to prove themselves right now and comfortable with them. And with the starters taking the majority of reps in camp, it also gets Carson and those guys enough time to get themselves prepared for the opener as well.
Two more, please. Let's say Carson's not playing a whole lot in the preseason games. Like, would you need another quarterback to kind of finish out a game?
I don't know. Right now we've got the three guys and we'll see. We're not there yet. Like I said, we'll evaluate it in the next couple of days. See how Nate does overnight. Our thoughts and prayers with him going into tomorrow, and we'll see.
That play that Nate got hurt on, it's right before the half. You're probably going to pull him at halftime anyway, and it happened on a roughing passer penalty. So how frustrating is that, considering how close he was to being done for the night?
Listen, you look back, and hindsight's 20/20. You never second guess. It's just part of football. It happens. It's unfortunate for Nate that it happened right before halftime, but look, it's could have happened in the first quarter. It's just the way it is.
Did you think it was a dirty play?
Obviously, roughing the passer. We had one later in the game on us. It's part of the game. Guys are playing hard, battling. And just took an unfortunate fall.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
We go out that way, please.
Okay, there's the head coach. Official word, Nate Sudfeld, broken wrist. He will have surgery. It is not season ending. Coach didn't look too happy about that, obviously. He says we're sticking with the quarterbacks we have. That's Carson Wentz, Cody Kessler, Clayton Thorson. We saw Kessler and Thorson tonight. A little bit of Kessler, a lot of Thorson. Definitely some struggles there. What is the outlook for this quarterback room if Nate Sudfeld is out for a period of time here?
Not good right now.
Yeah.
Listen, I know Doug is the head coach. He's going to stand there and exude confidence in his players like he's supposed to. And I don't expect him to say anything differently there. But, I mean, let's face it, you're talking about two young guys and Cody Kessler, even though he has more starts under his belt than Nate Sudfeld does, but is not as good of a quarterback, in my opinion. That sort of showed itself tonight. And then Clayton Thorson, who's a rookie, I mean, he has no experience in this league. And you have Carson going into the season. Now, thank God it's not a season-ending injury for Nate, but you're almost, I mean, you're kind of rolling the dice if they don't make a move going forward. I don't know if he's not going to disclose that tonight anyway.
Right.
That's something that's going to be discussed with the organization, I would imagine, tomorrow and moving forward. But I would imagine most Eagle fans, just knowing Carson is there, it doesn't feel like there's a safety net there. So it doesn't feel very good.
Well, and I understand that. He hasn't played a full season, so I understand.
Since his rookie year.
Right, since his rookie year. So I understand why fans would feel that way. Of course, Doug kind of jokingly said, hey, I could come out of retirement trying to bring some levity to the situation.
Right.
You know, hey, that's pretty funny. Ike, I also have
G.J. Kinney is on the staff, too.
There you go. We have quarterbacks are everywhere. Isn't that great? So we have a really awesome Facebook question for you. It's an inside joke for you with the Ike juice. We got this reference here. Hey, Yusuf Bey, was Hall drinking Ike juice before the game? He might have been. He had a really good game, 6 solo tackles.
I think he may have had a little bit of
Deshawn.
Yeah, I think Deshawn may have had a little juice before the game.
Did you guys get together? Was that like,
we did
hey
not.
man,
We
let me
did
show you
not.
how to do this?
We may need to, though, to sort of, I mean, he can endorse it if he wants to. If he's going to play the way he played tonight, he certainly can. No, in all seriousness, he, in my opinion, was by far the best defensive player on the field for the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, he's only credited with 1 sack and 1 forced fumble, but there were several other times where you just see him around the quarterback, where he's forcing Marcus Mariota to have to step up in the pocket and deliver a ball. So that's what you want to see. And from a position where a lot of observers are saying, okay, what's the depth like behind Brandon Graham, Vinnie Curry, and I know when Derek Barnett gets back, what's the depth like behind those guys? And you got a couple of young guys there that are looking to establish themselves, and Deshawn really made a name for himself tonight. When your name is a buzz on Twitter, Philadelphia Twitter, you know you've done something.
Especially when they're asking about the Ike juice. That's good news for you, Deshawn Hall. Keep it up. All right, we are going to go to Merrill Cam. Let's see how Merrill Reese enjoyed this game tonight.
Mariota in the gun. Lewis to his left. 3 receivers stacked right. Mariota back, guns it, and it's incomplete. And the Eagles take over on downs as the pass is incomplete, intended for Humphrey. Nathan Gary got a hand in there.
Oh, Sendejo does an outstanding job, Merrill, closing this throw.
53-yard attempt for Jake Elliott. Ball is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is good. 53 yards.
He's only the best athlete on the team. That little Jake Elliott guy.
He is something. Snap comes back to Sudfeld. He fakes to Adams. He steps up. He looks. He is going deep. And it is caught. And running with the football. In for the touchdown. What a play to Markin Michelle. Markin Michelle was free, and Sudfeld hit him in stride.
That's what I came to see.
Back goes Sudfeld. He's looking. He delivers. Leaping reception, and they have a first down to Ortega Whiteside. Ortega Whiteside came here with the reputation of a guy who wins the 50-50 ball, and that's just what he did there, Mike.
And he has such strong hands.
It's just like my favorite part of every game is Merrill Cam. Every week I get so excited to see it. I'm so glad that that is back. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back on the other side of it here on the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. Don't go away. To get to know. And our Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro, caught up with J.J. Ortega Whiteside after his first preseason game. Here you go. All right, so hopefully we'll have a little bit more from Dave later with J.J. Ortega Whiteside. But you were saying about his performance tonight, just something for Eagles fans to really look forward to.
He's going to be a player that we're going to enjoy watching throughout his career. Very excited, big kid. Is going to be a guy that doesn't necessarily need to be wide open in order to catch a ball. He's going to be a guy that could do a lot of 50-50 catches for you. Like I said, in the mode of an Alshon Jeffrey, isn't going to get a ton of separation, but he can sort of body guys with that size of his and be able to pull the ball in. So I can't wait to see him in the red zone. They go to that 12 personnel package. You put JJ on the outside, Alshon on the outside, and then you have Dallas.
Man.
You got Dallas and Zach Ertz in the inside.
I got goosebumps. This is like not real.
Like,
they all play for the Eagles, people. They're all on the same team. All right, we got that interview with Dave Spadaro and J.J. Ortega Whiteside ready to go. Here you go. Take a look.
Back down to the field here at Lincoln Financial Field. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro with wide receiver J.J. Ortega Whiteside making his preseason debut. What was it like out there, J.J.?
Oh, it was awesome being in front of all the fans out here. You guys are great being here in the Link. I mean, this is a dream come true for me to come out here and play NFL football for the best fans and, in my opinion, the best organization out there. But now, you know, the season started, so we got to get rolling.
I talked about the tempo of the game. Was it different than practice? Was it an adjustment?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have, you know, your first game breakdowns, you know, some mental breakdown here or there. You know, you can't simulate a game in practice because, you know, you go live and you got to run down the field, run back to the huddle, go back and forth, special teams, all of that stuff. But, you know, it was awesome.
2 catches, 23 yards. How do you feel you played?
I mean, you can always do better. We're going to go back to the drawing board, go back to the film room and see what we can do next week.
J.J. Ortega Whiteside, congratulations. Many more to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro with J.J. Ortega Whiteside, of course. He said himself, 2 catches, 23 yards. Hey, this is a preseason game. Let's not turn this into something it's not. What do you learn about him from those couple of plays there?
Well, to not go overboard with what he did tonight. But I still like just his makeup as a player, right? We watched that last reception he had. He didn't go down. It was like 7 Tennessee Titans trying to tackle him and bring him down. So I have... And
it was the Titans starters.
Right, yeah. I have visions of him breaking tackles in that secondary. His body... I wonder how different body sizes he and Zach Ertz really have.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like there's much difference there between the two guys. And that's not a good or bad thing there. I just think JJ is going to be one of those guys that's going to be a matchup nightmare for defensive backs because when he catches the ball, he's not going down. He's looking to break tackles, run through arm tackles. We're going to have fun watching him play. He has that blue-collar mentality that we like here in this city.
Well, and he was unsatisfied with his performance tonight. Of course, when Spadaro asked him about it, he just talked about what he could improve on, which is what you want to see from a young guy. So we will continue the conversation in just a minute. We'll be right back on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Here we have the Eagles' preseason schedule, 4 weeks of auditions, essentially. Here you're watching the postgame show presented by Ricoh with Amy Campbell and Ike Reese. 2 road games, 2 home games. Next at home, welcoming the Ravens on August 22nd. Any of these games jump out to you here, Ike?
Yeah, I think that game next week will be an interesting game for us Eagles fans. Obviously, beloved Nick Foles, former Eagles Super Bowl MVP.
There it is.
Now in Jacksonville, getting a chance to match up against his former team. It will at least be exciting from that standpoint for about a quarter.
Right.
Because I don't expect either guy to be out there very long. But anytime you get to go up against a team like a Jacksonville Jaguar team, there are things that you want to get accomplished. So regardless of who's out there playing next week, that's a physical team.
Yep.
That team was in the playoffs 2 years ago. They have sort of a new culture they're trying to establish down there with Nick as their leader. So that's going to be an exciting game. And then playing against the Ravens, after practicing against them during that week, I can imagine, John Harbaugh, my former coach, he typically has his guys ready to go, so that'll be an exciting game as well. And then that final preseason game, who are you kidding? Now, let's get everybody out of that game healthy as possible and on to the regular season.
Yeah.
So I look at games 2 and 3 as the more significant games because I think you're going to get to see more of the veterans in those 2 games. And the 4th game will be solely young players, much like tonight's game was.
Yeah, and especially looking at that Jacksonville game you mentioned, this is not a team to sleep on, especially on defense. This was a formidable defense. Even last year, kind of fell off a little bit from 2 years ago, but still very physical defense. Going to be a good test for this Eagles offense. And I am already getting goosebumps just imagining the pregame hugs between Nick Foles and Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. I'm sure it's just going to be a beautiful sight for Eagles fans to behold.
It will be. I'll shed a tear.
Yeah.
I have to put on my Nick Foles jersey next Thursday.
Yeah, why don't you wear that for the show next week? That could be. You could go with the jersey with the blazer over top of it.
Yeah.
I know you have to wear a tie. So would you ever wear a tie with a jersey?
I would for Nicky
For Nick Foles, I feel like that would be great. Of course,
only next week though. After next week, it's over.
It's over. We can in the preseason we can get a little weird in here too. We're gonna tighten things up just like the team is gonna tighten things up. And of course, we will be back right here next week for the preseason game. We've got the kickoff show, we've got the post-game show, and of course, Ike and I will be with you all season long. So be sure to stay with us at PhiladelphiaEagles.com, on the mobile app, on all the social channels. We're going to be here all season long.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Ike, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We will catch you next time.